But first, Dave, what's making headlines today, then?
Where to start? Daily Mail's got a double-page spread on this, what they call the Great Race Doll Backlash.
We're moving on, then.
Race doll. It's not like a gymnastic Barbie or anything like that, obviously. It's the Carol Thatcher thing. 2,200 people complained to BBC over the sacking of Thatcher. The BBC controllers jumped into the argument, obviously, replied and said that we have given Carol ample opportunity to offer a fulsome and unconditional apology, which apparently she did. But
at the time, to the people there, yeah.
But they're unhappy because they wanted the apology to include the fact that she that it was a racist comment, and she won't do that because she said it wasn't a racist comment when she said it. You know?
We had a real laugh here this morning because the BBC News just before, I think it was just before 7 o'clock this morning. They ran, you know, the tape of Christian Bale that's going around of him swearing.
Oh, I've not heard that.
Have you not heard it?
I've read it, but
right. I mean, it makes Gordon Ramsay sound, you know, almost angelic.
Batman, isn't he? Doing it, yeah.
Anyway, they played it without the beeps.
Did they?
On BBC News?
Only a little bit, but it was enough. And you think, I wonder if anyone's going to get sacked for that.
Yeah.
They look mortified, I have to say. Anything else, then? We've done, I think, Collywoogs today.
Well, just to add to that, the tennis player's mum's jumped in, hasn't she, now?
Is that right?
Yeah, started stirring it a bit, but understandably, I guess.
Yeah.
NHS staff face sack if they discuss religion. Obviously, this follows Caroline Petrie, the Christian nurse, who said to an elderly patient, I'll say a prayer for you. And in a way, she was just saying, you know, I hope you get better soon, you know, and all that. And not as it happened to me, and not to trivialise this, but I was in the queue for the Northern Rock when it was going belly up. And there was a woman in front of me in the queue, and this bloke came talking to her. And he'd found God, and he was going down the queue saying, like, you know, you'll be all right. And he was queuing up as well. He said, you'll be all right. You know, I found God and I've had a word and it's going to be all right.
God in the queue?
Yeah.
It is the Northern Rock.
But you see, she just said, trying to get rid of him because he was a little bit freaky. She said to him, all right, God, well, say one for me, say a prayer for me. And he went, I will. Oh, Lord! In the middle of the queue, you know. So if she's doing that, yeah, fair enough. But she wasn't, was she?
She's back at work and she says she told us on this show earlier in the week that she will continue to ask people if they don't mind praying for them.
That's right, yeah. And I mean, there is this little-known NHS document, Guidelines on a Practical Guide for the NHS on Religion or Belief, which is completely ambiguous. And it's you know, where do you draw the line in mentioning religion? Is it overtly, or it sort of limits your conversation a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just seems ridiculous to try and fire a nurse who's been working for 20 years for something like that, but there we go. Anything else?
Stay with the NHS. This is interesting, how taking aspirin once a week helps to fight stomach cancer. And it's we had yesterday, I don't know if you featured it on here, that vitamin D helps prevent MS, which is an amazing thing. And we seem to be getting back to these less complex natural remedies, apart from all these massive drugs with side effects that the pharmaceutical companies have been churning out for years. And aspirin has been found to protect against breast cancer, cut the chance of bowel cancer, and by a third, and slash the risk of heart attacks and strokes and Alzheimer's. It's an amazing thing.
I had a cancer specialist explain why, and it's the aspirin comes from, I think it's a bark of trees.
Willow, yeah.
And it's acidic acid, is it? Or something like that?
Yeah, well, it's a longer name, but yeah.
And what happens is, when we were Stone Age people, we would eat lots of tough roots, tough, you know, plant life to eat, and it made our gut work really, really hard. And because now we eat nothing but processed cheese and pizzas, our gut doesn't work so hard, which may be one of the reasons we get cancer. By taking the aspirin, it puts that ingredient in you.
That's right. I think there was another story this week about children eating bacon and cured meats have a far higher risk of getting leukemia, and it's because of all the nitrites and the things that...
It tastes so good.
Does it? I'm vegetarian, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
I get vegetarian bacon. I don't know if you've ever tried it. I get my mates round and I make them a breakfast and I go, have some of that. And they just go, that's rubbish.
OK, it is worth saying, of course...
once a week. Yes. One aspirin, once a week. Yeah. That's it.
And even in one of the papers saying once a year would be enough, but obviously if you're in trouble with anything like that, go and see a doctor. Anything else?
Yes, the Michael Phelps, as you mentioned earlier, we had the question, has been banned for 3 months after a photo emerged that showed him with a marijuana pipe. He's not admitted actually smoking marijuana. He's admitted to regrettable behaviour. I engaged in behaviour which was regrettable and demonstrated bad judgment. Well, it does if you're an athlete, doesn't it? Well, we were saying before, you know, because it doesn't actually contravene the anti-doping rule.
Is that right?
No, it doesn't actually.
Okay.
No, but they're going to suspend him just to send the message out because, as you said before, like I'm going to. It's not exactly a performance-enhancing drug.
No,
I
think you should
have some of that. Do you fancy a swim now?
Not really.
Or for a lie down in a Mars bar.
We're going, Michael, dive! He's going, in a minute. I'm fast, I'll catch him up.
They're all swimming the wrong way.
Oh, dear.
It's all right, they're coming back.
That's brilliant, yeah.
Oh, dear. We'll have one last one from you, Dave.
OK, this is from the Independent. Gutted. The fisherman caught faking his death. Obviously, we have to say that, obviously, like everybody else, they are facing a tough time out there, but this is a bit extreme, isn't it? A trawlerman faked his own death and sent an obituary to a magazine to avoid paying fines of up to £1 million for flouting fishing regulations. He tried to convince the fishing industry he had died, and he wrote himself his obituary, right, that he sent to Fishing News. That's where you'd want your obituary, innit? And he said... But his obituary went... Blah. It said... he made it really political. He was totally dedicated to his career, had little time for officials, MPs, or political parties, who he believed were mostly a waste of time, money and effort. In his obituary, people became suspicious. Suspicious enough to analyse his handwriting, by the way, you know. And, yeah, he was a quiet family man. He wasn't, I don't think.
Nicely done, Dave. What have you got then, Gail?
This is you.
Oh, look.
Grits, yeah, there you go. This is in the Daily Mirror. We have run out of grit. Transport chiefs have warned they're running desperately low on road grit. I'm not sure about anyone else, but I have not seen one gritter in my area at all.
There's no grit, that's why.
There's no grit.
We didn't invest in it.
I'm using salt.
Well, you know what people are using? Did you see this in the papers, that people are emptying the supermarket shelves of cat litter? Because it looks like they're using cat litter as grit. Now, I don't know whether...
Does it work?
Probably not, but it looks like
looks
grit.
good.
There's a lot of confused cats out there.
That's another mess you have to clear up.
Oh, it's a yellow snow with grit in it.
Was that a speed bump?
It's unbelievable. You know, we've been expecting this snow for how long?
How can you
run out
There's
of
a great
grit?
interview they had again because they got it really bad in the West Country, and a guy stuck on the M5, and he just said, I wasn't expecting snow. And he went for the last week.
There you go. There's some pictures. Look at it, lovely. Oh, grit. No, forget that. We're going to send out the whole army to go and rescue people from Exeter instead. That'll save us money. It's crazy.
And one more from you, Gail.
This is the Daily Telegraph. We have the schools minister who gets an F for spelling.
Oh, it's amazing.
This is a political blog written by Jim Knight, the schools minister, and basically it's just riddled with spelling mistakes. Basically like maintenance, going... try.
Pensioners. Pensioners.
Thry became... It's try.
Achieving and receiving.
Achieving, receiving.
I mean, some of them are
pensions,
typos, or just obviously
Yeah.
typo
Well,
errors.
but the fact
Surely
is...
you just talk about your spelling
Do
thing.
you not
don't
read before you publish? I mean, this is a government minister in charge of education.
I know.
I mean,
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, anyone else who's
Spell
kind of
check.
typing this up. Yeah, you have spell checkers and all the rest of it, but, you know, when you're a schools minister, this is the sort of thing you have
See,
to
I
take.
think that should be a sacking offence. I really feel so strongly about it that if you have an education minister made to look a complete fool because he doesn't take care over his P's and Q's, his grammar and his spelling, he should go.
Well, on the one hand, I agree with you. On the other hand, you kind of go, well, are we just going to get tied into spelling as opposed to his message? Is whatever he was trying to say just completely lost because we're so pickety about the kind of grammar and all the rest of it? You know, you can lose the message sometimes, but I agree with, as a schools minister,
Yeah.
I mean, I was on a flight once and the pilot came on and he said, ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, and then went off and I just thought, you can't say that. You can't.
That's happened to me. Has that happened to me? And what was the explanation?
Oh, yeah, no, he just came back on and said, and we're cruising. What happened? Oh, my God.
The pilot on my plane actually said, worse word than that, but and it was saying we're cruising at 35,000 feet en route to Alicante. The weather en route is, oh my God! And then went off for 5 minutes, and we were going, is the weather en route? Or is it something more serious? And he came back on and he said, I'm sorry and apologise, because as that happened, the stewardess came in with my coffee, tripped up and spilt scalding coffee down the front of me, he said. And he actually said, you want to see the state at the front of my pants? And I went, you want to see the state at the back of mine, mate?
I've been nagged about ad breaks, but I want to hear more news stories. Well,
I've got these very quickly. In The Sun, we've got Blair Force One.
Amazing.
This is a great story just from a journalistic point of view, when you look at the kind of terminology that's being used. Ex-Prime Minister beats Brown in a race to meet Obama. Didn't realise there was one. Basically, Blair's met him first, but, beaming President Obama kind of greeted him as a good friend. The meeting came as Mr. Brown jostled with French leader Nicolas Sarkozy to be the first to meet Obama. Mr. Brown scored an early victory by becoming the first European leader.
Have you got the line that Obama said to Blair? I mean, it's absolutely quite extraordinary.
Well, he basically said, you were the first and you were the best.
And I might not be as good as you.
Very white, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well...
You're the first, the best, my everything.
He would have been great on Motown records, wouldn't he? Yeah. Should have got that one. And the very last one, very quickly, this is in the Daily Mirror, the Burke's back. Clarkson has called the Prime Minister a one-eyed Scots idiot. There you go. That's
what you need to say, really.
One-eyed Scots idiot gate, I feel, is coming up.